Hello, beautiful souls. It's weird the previews on these videos are taking a little bit longer. I don't know if that's a signal or just YouTube saying you less seconds before you go further. Anyways, this is going to be another in the series of Cuss You Back In. Something that I've observed a lot. To have really world in order to feel like we're not alone, got support and shit like that. And here's the deal, sweethearts, which is not a term I use a whole lot because it can be very condescending, but I'm gonna say it, sweetheart. The biggest problem with you feeling like and telling yourself a story that you need relationship is that you are immediately blocking yourself from having the relationships you feel like you need. And so even like let's say you have deep mental illnesses and you really do depend very deeply on social systems of support with people that you feel like you can be, deep friends with or romantic partners with. The challenge is you're still telling yourself a story that you are lacking, that you are not enough unless you have relationships. And because you then give all the power that you have to yourself and that you could be putting into relationships that would make them a beautiful experience instead, you end up self sabotaging your own relationships because when you're in a space of need, like I need to have a relationship, I need to have a certain amount of friends. I need to have sex. I need to be with a partner. I need to be married. Like listen to it. Listen to the energy in that. Listen to it when you say it. When you get into that space, what you're really telling the universe is, I want more experiences of feeling needy. I want more experiences of feeling lacking. I want more experiences of feeling like I am not worthy of this life without a relationship. That's what you tell the universe when you do that. And especially if you add on to it fears of what will other people think of me. That tells the universe, if you're afraid of what other people will think, you manifest them thinking exactly the things about you that you're afraid that they will think, even while you're in relationship that should, by all intents and purposes, show the opposite. Now, here's the deal, my dear motherfuckers and fatherfuckers, right? Because I'm trying to do the cuss you back in thing. The energy is kind of weird today. Um, You can't have the healthy, stable relationship that you feel like you need until you no longer feel like you need it. And you cannot be in a place of like, I don't need nothing, I don't need no one. That's toxic independence. That's going to pull you into more codependent dynamics too. Because they both sit together on the spectrum. They're both the same. They're two different sides of the same coin, right? So whether you're in a space of I have to have a relationship or I can't feel okay, or you're in a space of I don't need nobody or nothing, you're still calling in shitty relationships. And even with people that you could have some beautiful dynamics with, you will self sabotage those things subconsciously. And then as you see that, because you're likely in a place where you already blame yourself for being like you feel like you're broken or you feel like that's why you can't be independent or whatever shit like that, like you call that stuff in and then you double blame yourself. Talks like these, like the ones that I'm doing, it's not about you blaming yourself. It's about you taking accountability for what you can take accountability for, which is the way you feel. It's really, really that simple. Like so many people overcomplicate, like, how do I manifest a better life? How do I manifest money? How do I manifest real love? You overcomplicate it. You get too much into masculine energy of I have to do something or stop something or stonewall something or protect something or hoard something or fear something, things like that. And then perfectly good relationships end up turning into tower moments. Like even if you had a strong enough foundation, the rest on top of it is a sandcastle because you don't even really believe that it is a to get the shit that you want. It's that simple. Like you can tell yourself a story that you're not good enough without relationship or that you can't care for yourself or shit like that, though just in believing that story because what you believe is true, look at how much you disempower yourself and look at how much of a burden that you place on anybody that's going to be with you because you expect them to be responsible for your emotional well-being. That's a big fucking responsibility. Think about like if you really do feel like you need help, you need someone to remind you to do shit. You need someone to be able to fight with. You need someone to sleep next to you. You need someone to help you financially. Think about all that fucking shit. Most people in this world are still trying to figure out how to care for themselves. I don't care whether you're 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Most people are still learning to care for themselves emotionally, financially, all of the above. You might have one area where you're good. Maybe your finances are good, but you're still not caring for yourself emotionally. Maybe you have some sort of consistent relationships, but the finances are not good. Like most people are trying to manage themselves, and everybody gets into this codependent hero villain victim shit where we're always all three. And then so then when you put your emotions on them, even if you're fairly self-sufficient, just the energy of the fact that if they do something that upsets you, then not only do they have to deal with all of their own feelings, all of their own shame cycles, all of their own lack of self discipline emotionally in other spaces, on top of that, they feel obligated to care for yours too. That's really fucked up. And I know that any of you listening to this have felt that on the other side. Maybe it was your mother or father. Maybe it was your siblings. Maybe it was former, partners, lovers, and things like that. Think about how you felt when you were trying to figure out your own shit, and then you got with somebody, and even like it's not like anybody usually looks at somebody else and goes, "You're responsible for all my emotions." No, we say shit like, "That made me really mad," or "I feel disrespected when you do that," or "I'm spinning out because you're not giving me the attention that I would like." They don't say it like that, but you know what I mean, like you can recognize when somebody is making you responsible for their emotions. Like, I don't like the way you treated somebody else, or like you're airing dirty laundry, or this and that. Like, we try to make them responsible for our emotions. And you know what it's like to have somebody do that to you. And if you've been if you're locked into loops, temporarily locked into loops of codependence where you feel like you cannot be without some sort of social safety net, especially romantic relationships, then you are doing that to the other people. And then if that goes tits up, guess what? You become unstable. When people do people things, when humans have human moments, if they're going to go have a new friend, have a new relationship, things like that, you become unstable, and then everyone else around you, you have a subconscious expectation that they will manage you and take care of you, or at least somehow by some accident get you back into yourself. That's a major fucking responsibility. And then you start feeling like if you don't have people around you to do that shit for you, then you cannot quote unquote rescue the people that you do that for. You see how the cycle gets bigger and bigger? That's why, outside of just the general fact that to manifest something, you have to think about what you want, feel it, think about all the deliciousness you could have of it, or fear it. Fear something happening, shit like that. And then once you forget about it, even just for 30 seconds, then it starts to manifest. Whatever the stuff is, it starts to come in. So if you feel like you cannot be you and feel happy and grateful and successful no matter where you are, whether you're with someone or not, like if you can't be in a space like that, you're going to sabotage your relationships, because the only time we get into a space where we're like, I have to have a relationship, is when we do not feel whole as an individual, which means we don't really feel lovable, which means that even if we get with somebody who does all the right things and says all the right things, then we're more likely to not trust them, rather than to go, oh yeah, here's that love that I deserve. No, we're going to be like, I don't trust them. What are they doing? They're buttering me up. And then the minute that they have a human moment where whether they have anger or sadness or do things like that, then we automatically go, see, I knew it. Everybody was good. Everybody will hurt me. And then we start leaning towards that. But then we lean back into the relationship and we do it over and over and over and over again, because we don't love ourselves enough to be able to accept when the love is there. And whenever a negative thing happens, we completely toss out all the good that may have been there in favor for over focusing, getting hyper vigilant on the few things that were not to our liking. And so that's what takes you to that place where, whether you want to talk metaphysically in terms of manifestation and shit like that, or whether you want to talk psychologically, either way, you're sabotaging your relationships when you're in them because you feel like you need them. And yes, I'm well aware that there's a lot of romanticism in the notion of like, I feel like, oh, I'm not going to live if you're not with me. Really, there is not a person in this world that I have met, like, they might like the romantic idea of somebody needing them to that level, but when they actually get entangled with somebody who feels like they need them to that level, that desperation energy is so fucking smothering. And it's icky. Like, I'm sure that you have been around people that are really, really desperate. Does it feel good? Are they the person that you get really attracted to? No. Usually what happens, you get attracted to someone in the moment that you see them and there's physical chemistry. And then limerence kicks in, which is the honeymoon phase, and people associate that with love when it's not. So it's a part of love in some cases, though. If you're in a space where you feel like you need to have relationship, you're not in a healthy enough place to have relationship. Not because you don't deserve it, and it's not even because you could be entirely right. Maybe it is that, the experience that you've come to have in this world means that you do need to be in a romantic relationship, but that should mean that you should work on feeling whole as an individual even more. Because if you do feel like you need to have a romantic relationship, in order to have it, you must get to a place where you feel stable without it. And I'm talking stable without the whole thing, without sex, without like romantic conversations, without flirtations, without somebody always being there to rescue you, and without you having people that you rescue all the time. If you really feel like you need to have relationship, like that's a part of your life path, then this is even more for you, because you cannot have what you want so long as you need it in that icky energy and in that low vibe way. So you need to shit or get off the fucking pot. At this point, if you really feel like you need relationship, then you need to stop. You need to reel back from relationship shit altogether and figure out who the fuck you are when you're not in romantic relationship, when you're not in codependent entanglements with family, friends, exes, etc. You need to take that time to figure out who the fuck you are outside of that. And usually that takes at least a year. And it depends on the person. Some people it could take 10 years. Some people it could take a little less than a year, but typically you're not going to know whether that's consistently who you are or what you need until you have taken at least a year to be in that place. Okay? And if you feel too fearful to approach that in this moment or in future moments, then just recognize that neediness, that fear of even being willing to try for at least a year to be by yourself, and not in a hermity way. You can still have friends, you can still reach out. What you want to go at, what you want to look at is disentangling codependent dynamics. And that's, yes, that's going to mean that a fair amount of people who either don't know enough about it or who are still leaning into their fear like you have been, they're going to have separation moments from you, because you, in order to heal, need to be under your own free will, without the, oh, what will this person say, or that one will fight me, or this one will be mad, or things like that. Like, you need to be able to do it without that stuff there. And to get to that space, there's going to be a number of dynamics that, what's the word, that you'll have some time out from. And that's okay, right? Though, if you feel like I'm just full of shit, and or you feel like even if I'm not, that you're just not one of those people, then you got to take responsibility that the relationships you have, when they fall apart, when shit like that happens like that, that the first reason is because you feel like you are not capable of being you on your own, and you feel like you need that relationship, which is putting you in a fear-based space, an ego space, a pride space, and it's going to continue to create large obstacles in that relationship. Like, I'm gonna cut this video short, but like I could go on about this on and on and on and on and on. Because until you feel like you can and you have and you would be happy being independent and single for however long that is, when you don't feel like if you're not in a relationship, you got to be looking for somebody or going out to find somebody or getting back with somebody else. Like, when you're in that space, you're calling in the fear that has basically wrecked your other relationships or created big chasms in current relationships that you have. I'm speaking from a place of experience on this, not just like conjecture. Like, it really is. This is the way that it works for like 99% of people, between psychology and metaphysics. Like, it really is. So, in terms of shit or get off the pot, it's like either you got to go work on you so you can have, oh look, 2:22 on the clock, so that you can have those relationships you currently feel like you need, and you got to get to a space where you recognize you don't need them and you're fucking amazing on your own, and you have social connections that are healthy, and you've released any codependent dynamics with family, friends, shit like that. Like, you really got to go work on that, or sit on the pot, or get off the pot and say, you know what, I'm accepting that I'm going to have unhealthy, tumultuous relationships with family, friends, and lovers because I choose not to work on me so I can have what I feel like I need. That's really where it gets to. To try to shove it away or to try to suggest a mental illness or physical challenges or culture or anything like that as your reasoning for doing it is just more bullshit. It really is. All right, y'all. I'm going to cut this short here. I love y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.